Hello everyone, and welcome to this dungeon editor tutorial for Legend of Grimrock 2. In this tutorial we're going to cover a lot of ground. We're going to go into how we create our own assets inside the game. That includes 3D modeling, that includes sounds, and defining the objects in our Lua script. What I'm about to do is inside my dungeon here, I'm going to create walls that can be breakable, and when they break down in 3 stages and will allow the party to pass into secret areas which were previously undiscovered. So let's just get right to it. I am using a Blender for my 3D modeling, and in order for me to be able to bring some models from Legend of Grimrock 2 into Blender, I'm using a Python script which BitCPI developed, and I'm gonna post a link to this script in the description of the video. If you're unfamiliar how you use these scripts, it's fairly simple. You just take this script. This script is not perfect, but it does a lot of things good, and you take all the script and you simply place it. You create a file inside your Blender directory, scripts and add-ons. In my case I just called the file Grimrock importer.py, and inside the py script is everything here. And once you've done that and you fire Blender, you need to go to File, User Preferences, you need to go to Add-ons, Import Exporter, and then you're going to find something that's called Import Export Legend of Grimrock 2 Model Format. By default this will be unchecked. I have checked this, and then you go to save your user settings. When you've done that, you can go to File, Import, and you should have something called Legend of Grimrock 2 Model. If you click on that, and if you browse to your directory where you have installed Legend of Grimrock, in my case it's under Steam apps since I have the Steam version, and I simply select the Grimrock file, it will build all the models that it finds within the file in this dialog window over here. Like I said, it's not perfect. It doesn't grab some of the names of the models and so forth, but it grabs a lot of them, and I hope that BitCPI will continue to work on this script, or BitSpy. I'm sorry if I'm butchering your handle, but BitCPI, yeah. But like I said, using this script we're able to point to our Grimrock dot, and we can scroll down to the list here. And in my case there are a couple of models that I'm interested in, and they're going to be the dungeon walls, since I'm going to be creating breakable versions of that wall. So if we go down, we should eventually come to something like dungeon wall, and here we have dungeon wall broken 1 and dungeon wall broken 2. I'm interested in dungeon broken wall 2, so I'm going to select that and import. And the first thing you're going to notice is that the scaling of the model is completely off, but that's an easy fix. Usually when you import a model file from Grimrock and the boundaries have not been placed on it, it's about 100 times the size it needs to be. So scaling it down is our first priority, and I'm simply going to scale it down to 0.01 like this. And then I have the wall in the correct size. Object, and apply the scale. Well, this is the model I'm going to be working with, and I'm simply going to cut away some of the things that I will not be using. For example, I will not be using the back here, and I will not be using some of the weed that is on this model. What I'm going to do then is I'm simply going to choose the stones, and I'm going to start moving them around. And moving the stones around, I'm not going to be doing any mass, deformation of the mass or something like that. Since I don't have the material for the model, I'm not messing with the mass itself, and I simply allow everything to be exactly as it is, so I don't mess up the UV mapping of every object. So even though I'm selecting some stones, and if I'm moving them around and so forth, I know that when I bring this back into the game, the UV mapping will be correct. But as soon as if I were to stretch something or do something, then of course I will mess up the UV mapping. So since this is not a modeling tutorial, I'm just gonna skip ahead and show you what I've done. So this is basically what I've done. I've created 2 walls, or actually I've created 3 walls. This is the first wall, and this is just a simple wall that has this one brick here in the middle, and that brick is semi-loose. You can see some through some of the cracks, and this is the indicator that this is actually a breakable wall. The next stage of the wall is this one, and like I said, this is just a model from when you can see the wall broken and you have the dirt behind it. I've simply removed the dirt, I've removed the growth ivies, and I've placed some bricks here on the floor on either side. This is the side facing the player, and this is the back side, and that means that these faces here are see-through, or not visible within the game engine. And then we have the third state of the wall, which is this one, and this state doesn't have any single-sided faces, so the player can be on either side. He can be on this side of the wall, or he can be on that side of the wall. It doesn't matter. So I have these three models. When I export these models, and let's just do that, I go to File, Export, and I export them out to an OBJ format. And in this case I have already exported it out, and this is Dungeon Breakable Wall Broken, and I'm gonna export it with the smooth groups. I'm gonna write the normals, include the UVs, write the materials. I want to triangulate the faces, and then I export the object as OBJ groups. The forward is -C forward, and when you have it set up like this, you feel free to just click export, and I'm going to export over here. The next program I'm going to be using is the GMT, or the Grimrock Model Toolkit. For everyone that's been modding for Grimrock 1, they should be extremely familiar with this program. It's written by John Wordsworth, and he is doing an updated version of this program specifically for Legend of Grimrock 2. So I would keep my eye on that thread, because when that program comes available, it'll make the modding of Legend of Grimrock 2 more easier. But this program still works, since the model format hasn't changed that really much between the engines. So I can use this program to bring in, if I import using the ASAP importer, and if I go to my modding models breakable walls, so if I import the Dungeon Breakable Wall Broken, which we were working with here, you can now see I have the model here within Grimrock, and the only thing I need to take care of is that I want the materials to be correct. For example, Dungeon Bricks 01 is not named .011, or 001. I need to rename this correctly. the naming of the materials can be found within inside the models. Of course, this will be this will be a lot easier once we have the asset pack for Legend of Grimrock 2. But since we don't have it, we are doing some backdoor backdoor operations in order to get this working. But I know, for instance, that Dungeon Brick 01 is the correct material for this specific mesh, and I know Dungeon Brick 01 is the correct for this one. So when I have the model in this state, and when I have given every mesh or every node the correct material assignment, I can recalculate the tangents and bit tangents, go to File, Save As, and I can save the model down to a model format which is then understood by the game engine. So I've already done that. So I have saved these 3 walls down. I have the Dungeon Breakable Wall Hard, which is the first piece. I have the piece when it's damaged, and I have the piece when it's in its completely broken state. The other objects here are just something I'm working on. So when I have the models, and I have the models inside, documents, Almost Human, Legend of Grimrock 2, Dungeons, Temple of Kivak Pilak, which is the testing ground we are working on, and models. Here I have some of the models that I'm working on, but these 3 are the ones that are specific to this tutorial. So for example, I can just double click this and they will open up in the Grimrock Modeling Toolkit. So this is the one where it's completely broken, damaged. This is the one where it's in its damaged state, and if I look from it from behind, you can see that I can see through it, but that's okay because the player will always just see it from this angle, and it's just good practice to save up the faces. So this is when it's damaged, and this is the one which we will see before we start breaking it down. So I have these 3 models here, but I also want some sound to play when I break the walls. So let's go to this file which is here on my desktop. This is a file I made for Legend of Grimrock 1. I made a similar modification where you could break down the walls of the dungeon, and this, if I play this back for you, it's just a sound, like bricks rumbling and so forth. I'm gonna take that sound and I'm going to place it within the sound directory of my mod asset folder, like this. Then I'm gonna go into the sounds file that is also under mod asset scripts, sounds, this one. So we have that file over here, and here I'm gonna define a new sound. So I'm just gonna start typing define sound like this, and the name of this sound is wall breaking, and file name is of course mod assets sounds, and the file name was SX, what was it? I already forgot. SX wall breaking, okay. SX wall breaking dot wave. So we close this, and here are some parameters for the sound. Is this a looping sound? No, it's not a looping sound. What is the volume of this sound? Do I want to change the volume in any way? No, not really. Just gonna have that 1, and then we can have something called min distance, and these are the tiles, the minimum distance needed to hear the sound, and since we're gonna be right up close to the wall, it's just 2, and max distance just 2 as well, and close this. Save. So now I have a sound called wall breaking, something that I can call within scripts of the game, and it will play back this breakable brick sound. So let's head over here. I will need to create some objects for this, and inside the object script, and again this is script objects inside the mod asset folder, I will have to create I have to create 3 objects, one for the breakable wall in its initial state, another object for the breakable wall in its damaged state, and the third object is the breakable wall when it's completely broken. It's a lot of typing, so I have I've saved you the trouble of, or saved you the torture of watching me type. So I'm simply gonna paste this over here, and but let's run through it. And so I'm defining an object. I call this object dungeon breakable wall, and the base object is base obstacle. This is quite important because now this object, it will bring some of the elements from an obstacle with it, and I will show you in just a few minutes what those things are. But for instance, this will make the object repel missiles, or repel projectiles. So if I shoot at this with an arrow, the arrow will actually hit this object. Also, this object has the class of being an obstacle, so the party cannot pass through it, and this will stop the party from going forward. This is it has a model class, of course, since we have the model, and here I'm pointing to the Essex Dungeon Breakable Wall Hard. This is the model that I have exported out with a GMG. And let's just take a look at that model. It's this one, Dungeon Breakable Wall Hard. So this is the model I'm pointing towards here. Like I said before, the class is obstacle. When somebody hits this obstacle, I want the sound to be impact blunt, and I want it to have like a dust effect, hit dust. We can have hit wood here. We can have also hit barrel, I believe, and there are others hit effects within the game that you can call on. Since this is something that needs to be broken, it needs the health. So we have a class of health. I'm simply going to give it the health of 15 because I don't want people standing at the wall and just hitting and hitting and hitting all day. And since we are demoing this, just 15. But when this object dies, I want it to spawn dungeon breakable wall damaged. So when this object here, which we have here, when it dies, I want it to spawn this one. So we start off with a wall hole, and when that dies, we spawn this one, and it would look like it's damaged. Also, on die, I placed an on die hook here within the health class. I'm functioning the self, which is basically just the self, and I'm gonna play the sound wall breaking, and that's the sound that we defined here within our sounds lore. So when he dies, or the wall dies, we will play this sound back, and I'm also going to shake the camera a tiny amount just to get a more immersive effect when the party breaks down the wall. Every class has a controller. There's nothing under the controller. The placement of this is a wall, since this is a This is a dungeon wall. Auto map tile is a wall, and let's come to this later. I'm gonna change this and show you what happens. And then of course we have an editor icon for this, and 120 is the icon for walls. And if you there are some pretty good images floating around on the forum explaining what icons are what. And if we just jump to it, let's do it. If we go to the forums, to the editing super thread, here we have table of Legend of Grimrock 2 editor icons, and you can just take a look at this. And for example, I was using 120, so 120 is here, and 0, so this is the icon. And always use the first icon, because this is just the facing of 0, facing of 1, facing of 2, and facing of 3. And the facing is, of course, if I choose something, I can change its facing here. This is 0, 1, 2, and 3. So if I, for example, would have chosen 122, this would be the facing of 0, 1, 2, and the icon would change, and then 3, and so we've gone into a different icon. So just so you're aware of how this works, every icon has 4. Some do not rotate, like the floor triggers don't rotate, but the monster icon rotates. So depending on the facing, this is the icon that it displays. So I hope you can use this table to create some of your own stuff. But let's go back to what we're doing. Spawn on death dungeon breakable wall damage. So of course this needs to be defined, and that is the next object that we defined. We defined dungeon breakable wall damage. There are some differences. I'm not simply copy pasting. For example, base object here is base obstacle. It is not base obstacle here, and we will see that in action in just a few, why I didn't put base obstacle on the second object. But this I think that's the only difference between object 1 and 2, is that this is not a base obstacle object. All other definitions are the same. It's a model, we point to the correct model. It's also an obstacle, also the same health component, but when this one dies we spawn a completely broken version, which is down here. And we will play wall breaking, and we will also shake the camera a little bit. The auto map tile, grassy ground, this really doesn't come into play, but I was just messing around with something. And this one, dungeon breakable wall broken, as you can see, that is not a base obstacle object. This is rather just a decorator object, or it has no collision, and the party can travel freely through it. Also, nothing happens when you cannot hit it. It doesn't have a health component, so nothing happens if you try to hit it. So this is the final state of the wall. So let's save this object Lua. Let's go here in. Let's save the dungeon, reload it. We did not crash, which is a good thing. And let's see if I have dungeon, breakable wall, wall broken, and damaged. So let's create something here. Let's extend this here, like this. And dungeon breakable wall. Let's place that one here. And the facing needs to be correct, like this. Let's hit play and see what we did. So as you can see, this wall is not different than the rest of them. It has this one brick which is kind of loose, and if I take this lantern here, if I place it behind and refresh, you're going to see that it shines through, and of course the ceiling over here is open, so you can see the light behind, but I don't want to make this too easy. I want to have it like this, so people could miss the wall. They could walk away from it without realizing that this is a breakable wall, but for the observant adventurer, he would see, ah, this is a breakable wall, so I can hit it. Did 3 to it. And now we have done 15 to it. We cannot go into the wall because this is still an obstacle, but we can see through the wall now since it's in its broken state. And if we continue to hit it and continue to damaging it, we will eventually break it down to the state where it simply is a decorative object and the party can move freely through. So this is looking quite good, and also the sound plays and the camera shakes a little bit every time we break more of it. We could do some particle effects, some smoke, some dust going, but yeah, I'm lazy today, so I'm gonna do that later. Let's go back into the definition of these objects, and for instance, the base obstacle here. Why did I have base obstacle on the first one and not on the second one? I'm simply gonna take this away. I'm gonna comment this out, so we will have the first and the second object now just the same. Reload the dungeon. Maybe place the party here, and I'm gonna place a short bow and maybe an arrow here in front, like this. So if I pick up the short bow and if I pick up the arrow, and if I shoot, the arrow just went straight through, which is not what we want. But if I hit it, I am hitting it. But that is the reason why I am having the first object as base obstacle, since base obstacle will give it the ability to stop projectiles. And so why isn't the second one also? That is because for the second one I want the projectile to go through. So for instance, if now I have broken the wall, if I shoot the projectile, you can see it passes through, and this is precisely what I want. You know, I don't want the projectile to stop. I want the party to be able to shoot over the wall and shoot through the wall. So that's the reason why the first object has the base obstacle component, but not the second object. It doesn't have it, since I want projectiles to go through. And the third object, of course, is simply nothing. It's that's just it's just there, doesn't block anything. So there are some issues with it, and let's go over the issues. For example, if I go now here and let's take a look at the minimap, you can see that it's displaying a wall in front of me, and that is because the first object is the auto map tile is a wall. But for example, if I just show you what this is doing, and if we refresh the dungeon like this, and if I walk, you can see that now it does not display it as a wall, and if the party is moving around the dungeon, the outer map is giving away where we have placed this secret wall. So just by looking at the outer map, the player who's playing your mod, he can say, ah, okay, yeah, here's a place where I need to go into. But so that's the reason why I have put a outer map tile wall. So I want this to be a wall. Of course, if I were to change this to let's say, what was it, rocky wall. Now I'm trying to remember something from the top of my head. Now you can see it's a rocky wall. The icon has changed, but for my purposes, I I don't want this to be given away on the outer map, so I want this to be a wall. So just by having this again as wall, but it still has some issues, and I'm gonna show you that, because obstacles always take up one square. So this is an obstacle. So this is just an obstacle, like a barrel, you know. If I place this here, you can see that this takes up a square. So if I clip around, it still blocks me from the other side, and I need to hit this. So this wall is just behaving exactly like these barrels. Has some stages of destruction, and when it's destroyed you can walk over it. So the same limitation, or not maybe limitation, but the same rule apply, that if I come at this from the other side, like here, I am not able to step all the way up to the wall, since this is an obstacle and it's taking up this square in its entirety. So if I were to hit it from behind, I'm still, you know, so it doesn't look good from behind. So if you're using this method to create breakable walls, you need to be careful not to, you know, create something like this where the party is able to come at the wall from different angles. So that's just yeah, that's just something that people need to be aware of if they're going to use this method. So just to have the party able to come at the wall from a single side. And also it has another small defect, and that also has to do with its occupying one square. That, did we change this back? Wall. We did. Reload, yes. The outer map was still showing. So this is exactly how I want the outer map to be shown, but when I break it, and that was the experiment we were going on here. I was hoping that when this object gets destroyed and this object gets spawned in its place, that I could somehow change the outer map tile, but I'm not finding a good way to do that. Maybe there's some on-update hook that I'm missing, but you can see that even though I have broken down this wall, it's still just showing me the outer map wall, and if I step through, it shows another wall which isn't there, but for the engine, since this is an obstacle, it draws it on all four sides just like it would do any obstacle. But so there's a small minor defect to the outer map, but I still like that. I like this better than to be able to see the secret or have some another object here that will also give away, you know, where those breakable walls are. So, but this is yeah, this is the first version of my breakable wall within a dungeon. All this code I will of course paste it on the forum, and I will also place this in its entirety on the forum, so you can grab this asset and you can put it inside your dungeon and use it as you see fit. So maybe in the future I will create more of these walls for different tile sets and do some stuff with it. So and I will also place the sound, you know, the breakable sound, so you can use that as well for your dungeons if you want to use this. But yep, version 1.0 of a dungeon breakable wall. I hope you enjoyed this, and yeah, thank you for watching.